Hi everybody, welcome back to Indycar. My name's Gordon Ross. Welcome to Wednesday's programme. This morning I'm looking at a couple of items that were in the news, and the first one, actually, beg your pardon, it's Tuesday morning, so not Wednesday morning, it's Tuesday morning. Looking at two items from the news today. The first one is to do with the difference between studying in Scotland as a student and studying in England. As you know, in Scotland we do not have £3,000 per year tuition fees. And because of that, our students, when they graduate, are not burdened with a student loan, which they then have to repay when their wages reach a certain critical level. Now, if you were a student in England, on the other hand, and you have a student debt, let's say you came out of university with a student debt of £50,000, just for argument's sake, you would be asked to pay 9% of your salary above £25,000. So if you earn £30,000, you would pay 9% of the £10,000 difference. Now, what that amounts to over the period of your working life, assuming that your salary stays above that level, is like an additional tax of 9% on that part of your wages. So you would be paying your normal taxation of 20% plus 9% to repay your student loan. And that would be repayable for decades. We're talking 25, 30 years, almost like starting your life with a mortgage. Now, this creates, I think, probably the highest taxation level of any group in the United Kingdom. So, English educated graduates in England who remain there and pay taxes there when they take a job which has a salary of above 25,000, which in England actually is quite low, would probably end up, most of them, something like 80% of those people, repaying 9% of that part of their salary forever, because they would never end up being able to repay the loan at that rate over such a long period of time. It just wouldn't be possible. So it ends up becoming a taxation. And when people tell you that Scotland is a higher taxed area than the rest of the UK, that is plainly just rubbish when you consider the fact that England is burdening some of its brightest and most creative people with a lifelong debt around their necks forever of 9%. They're basically adding 9% to people's taxes. And that's what the student loan repayment becomes over time. Now, this was revealed actually on a BBC programme the other day, which deals with money matters and explained the student loan system to students. So I thought it was worth highlighting this, that if you are educated in Scotland, then you are going to be 9% less taxed than somebody who gets a degree in England. So I think we have to value this more than we do. I think students in Scotland know that they're lucky, but they never really knew how lucky they were when they're now the lowest taxed graduates in the United Kingdom because of this. The other part of this broadcast this morning looks at several other items in the news, and I've been personally looking at these items over the last few days. We are currently in a situation where Britain has come to a crux in its history. We're at a crossroads now where things are about to happen. Things are about to happen in a big way, and we don't have any real control over that. And in order to get control over it, obviously I campaign for independence because I believe it is the best option for Scotland. But it's not only the best option for the country, it's the only option for the country, because if we stay with the United Kingdom at the moment as it is, then Brexit will happen to us, and it's not something we could control. Because of that, we need to really think about how we move forward and what we do with our industries. This week we learned that BIFAB has now started to lay off people. BIFAB was Burnt Island Fabrication. They're building wind farms, offshore wind farms, and it now emerges that they owe money to their partner firm, which I think is a European company. And the European company is suing them for that money. The Scottish Government is trying to help BIFAB by giving them a loan, a short-term loan to bridge the gap in their order books. But at the moment it doesn't look good. 260 people are about to be made redundant at Burnt Island Fabrication at various yards, and it's not a good picture at all. However, when you look at Scotland itself, Scotland has a very buoyant future at the moment, and the Scottish Government, although it's not perfect, is always trying to do the day job. And as you know, they're always criticised for banging on about independence and not doing the day job. There's to be a royal wedding, as you probably know, between Harry and Meghan Markle, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And for that wedding to take place and for the streets to look nice, the local authorities in the area where the procession is about to take place are wanting to fine rough sleepers up to £1,000, actually. £1,000. They're trying to fine people who have no money, who have no home and no job, in an effort to get them off the streets. Not help them, but actually punish them for being homeless. And this is the way in which the English authorities, the Tories, see the homeless. They see them as a nuisance, something to be swept away so that it's not seen by the cameras. While they're doing that and fining these poor unfortunate people who have no money, which it's going to be interesting to see how they fine somebody who has no money, in Scotland there is a committee which looks at homelessness and housing and has recommended a new scheme to help homeless people in Scotland. Part of the day job, okay, a completely different approach. And that committee has now recommended to the Housing Minister that the Scottish Government implements this scheme in full. It involves the building and construction of new housing. It allows people to have an income which is guaranteed by the government. It's a little bit like a scheme on the continent whereby homeless people are given an income, a level income of several £100s a week, whatever it is, which enables them to, first of all, find somewhere to live, to pay the rent, to pay the bills, to look for a job, to find a job, and at the same time they do not lose that money, so they can take part-time work without fear of losing their home again because they can't make the rent payments or the bills. So it allows those people to do part-time work while they're looking for other jobs. Now, this idea of a sort of universal basic income is new, and it has been piloted across Scotland, and it's now being recommended that it is rolled out across the entire country. So all rough sleepers, all people who have been made homeless through no fault of their own and find themselves in this situation will, if this goes ahead, and it looks like it will do, will be given this income and will be permitted the joy of having their own home again, which should be a basic human right anyway. But it's going to become a part of Scottish law, that these homeless people do not have to remain on the street. They don't get punished, they don't get fined for being unfortunate, they don't get fined for being victims. They are helped back onto their feet. They're given a steady income to allow them to find somewhere to live, pay bills, so they can rent a flat, rent accommodation, establish themselves again, start working again or training again, and not fear the loss of that income. So until they have a steady job, the government will guarantee that they have a steady income until they're back on their feet and able to support themselves. It's been done on the continent. It's been recommended by the Scottish Housing Committee. It looks at homeless people and their problems, and it's now gone to the Housing Minister, who says he's going to give it his careful consideration. Now, I think without him saying we're definitely going to do it, careful consideration means he's thinking about doing it. And I would encourage the Scottish Housing Minister to please do this. Let's show the rest of the United Kingdom how homeless people should be treated, how they should be helped. Don't punish them by fining them for being unfortunate, having nowhere to sleep. Imagine having to sleep out in this cold weather and then somebody comes along and tries to fine you £1,000 for that. It's plainly ridiculous. It's completely stupid idea, and it is just completely heartless and callous. The Scottish Government is doing its day job. It's just a shame that the British Government isn't doing the same thing. Anyway, that's the show for today, so take from that what you will, but I see a great future for Scotland's graduates who are not going to be saddled with debt for the rest of their lives, and I would hope that with this new scheme, if the Housing Minister approves it, that homeless people in Scotland will have the chance to get off the streets, to have a warm home, and to be helped back into employment and normal life again. To me, it shows that Scotland is the kind of country that people want to live in. We do not want to lose these differences, and we do not want to end up like these county councils in England, where they're fining people for being poor and where they're punishing graduates by lumping them with 9% extra tax for the rest of their lives. Scotland is unique in the United Kingdom in its approach to how it does the day job and how it looks after its own people. And we would lose that after Brexit. We will lose it if the Scottish Parliament is disempowered or controlled by Westminster. We will lose it with the power grab. These are the crown jewels. These are the vital key things that make Scotland the better place to live that it is. And it will remain the best place in the United Kingdom to live unless we allow the Tories to dismantle it with this power grab. So that was the news today. All right. Scottish graduates are better off, and homeless people, it looks like they also will be better off as well. So Housing Minister, if you're watching this broadcast today, please accept the Housing Committee's recommendation and implement this new scheme to help the homeless in full across the country. Bye for now.